The seating chart had been the final insult in a long line of them. I stared at table 17, literally next to the kitchen doors, while my sister Vanessa's wedding coordinator pretended not to notice my expression. The main ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and cream-colored roses that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Family tables clustered near the elevated head table like courtiers around a throne. Table 17 sat in the shadows, half hidden by a decorative screen. "It's just logistics, Claire," Vanessa had said 3 weeks ago when I'd asked about the seating arrangements. "Richard's family is huge and we have to prioritize couples. You understand." I'd understood perfectly. My younger sister was marrying into the Wellington family. Old money, social connections, and the kind of respectability that came with 5 generations of lawyers and politicians. I was the family embarrassment. 32, unmarried, working some vague government job. Nobody really understood. Mom had been more direct during the rehearsal dinner. "Try not to draw attention to yourself tomorrow. Richard's mother is very particular about appearances." She'd glanced at my simple dress with thinly veiled disappointment. "And maybe borrow something from Vanessa? Something more wedding appropriate." What they didn't know, what I'd been legally prohibited from telling them, was that my vague government job was a senior position at the State Department's protocol office. For the past 8 years I'd coordinated diplomatic visits, managed international relations and advised on matters of state that would make their society wedding look like a backyard barbecue. The secret clearance helped. So did the non-disclosure agreements. My phone buzzed in my clutch, the secure diplomatic line, not my personal cell. I excused myself to the bathroom, ignoring my cousin Jennifer's smirk as I passed. She was seated at table 4 with her husband, close enough to hear the speeches. "Adeyemi," I answered quietly in the marble-tiled restroom. "Ms. Adeyemi, Her Royal Highness's motorcade is 15 minutes out. She's asking if you received her gift." Ambassador Chen's voice was crisp and professional. "I did. Please convey my thanks." The gift had been a handwritten note on palace letterhead, expressing condolences that protocol prevented the princess from attending the ceremony itself, but confirming she'd arrive for the reception. "Everything's arranged on this end." "Excellent. Security sweep is complete. See you shortly." I checked my reflection. The simple navy dress Mom had criticized was actually Armani, chosen specifically because it photographed well and wouldn't outshine the bride. My grandmother's pearls were real, gifted to me by a Saudi diplomat's wife after I'd helped navigate a particularly delicate cultural situation. The shoes were practical Stuart Weitzman because I'd learned the hard way that diplomatic functions required comfortable feet. I looked exactly like what I was, a professional who knew how to dress for international relations. My family just couldn't see past their own narrow definition of success. When I returned to the reception, the wedding party was making their entrance. Vanessa looked beautiful in her cathedral-length gown, Richard handsome in his custom tuxedo. His parents, the formidable Margaret and Charles Wellington IV, surveyed their son's wedding with satisfied expressions. Their family table, table 1, held a senator, 2 judges and Richard's uncle who sat on the board of 3 Fortune 500 companies. My table held Vanessa's college roommate's parents, 2 distant cousins I'd met once, and an empty chair that spoke volumes about where I ranked in the family hierarchy. The speeches began. Richard's best man told embarrassing college stories. Vanessa's maid of honor, our cousin Jennifer, waxed poetic about true love and finding your perfect match, with a pointed glance in my direction that made several guests turn to look at me, sitting alone in the shadows. "Some people are lucky enough to find their person young," Jennifer continued, her voice syrupy sweet. "Others, well, we all have our own timelines, don't we?" Polite laughter rippled through the room. Mom smiled tightly. Dad studied his champagne glass. My phone buzzed again. 2 minutes. I stood and walked toward the entrance hall, ignoring the coordinator who tried to redirect me back to my table. The venue's event manager, Marcus, met me near the doors. He was the only one I'd briefed about the situation, sworn to secrecy with the kind of authority that made him take me very seriously. "Security's in position," he murmured. "Holy hell, Claire. You could have mentioned you knew royalty." "Need-to-know basis," I replied calmly, watching through the glass doors as 2 black SUVs pulled up, followed by a Rolls-Royce with diplomatic plates. "And Marcus? Let it play out naturally. Don't announce her." His eyes widened. You want me to let a princess just walk in unannounced? She requested it specifically. Trust me. The security detail entered first, discreet, professional, scanning the room with practiced efficiency. Then she appeared, Her Royal Highness Princess Amara of Kenyatta, third in line to the throne, international advocate for women's education, and my close friend of 6 years. We'd met during her first official visit to Washington. I'd been assigned to her delegation and we'd bonded over late-night strategy sessions and a shared passion for international development. She'd invited me to her brother's wedding. I'd helped her navigate a potential diplomatic incident involving a racist comment from a European official. We'd vacationed together in the Maldives, kept in touch across time zones, and she'd been the first person I'd called when my grandmother died. She was wearing a stunning emerald gown, a diamond tiara, and an expression of regal amusement as she surveyed the wedding reception. Claire. Her voice carried across the ballroom, cutting through the music and conversation. There you are. Every head turned. Princess Amara crossed the room with the kind of grace that made people instinctively step back, her security detail flanking her. She walked past table 1, where Margaret Wellington's jaw had dropped, past the head table where Vanessa sat frozen with a fork halfway to her mouth, past all the important family tables, straight to table 17 by the kitchen doors. She embraced me warmly, kissing both my cheeks. I'm so sorry I missed the ceremony. Affairs of state, you understand. But I couldn't miss celebrating your sister's wedding with you. Behind her, Mom had actually stood up from table 2, her face cycling through confusion, shock, and dawning horror. Your Highness, you didn't have to come all this way, I said, following the script we'd discussed. Make it natural. Make it clear. Nonsense. After everything you've done for our country's education initiatives? After you personally coordinated my mother's state visit last year? This is nothing. She glanced around the room with raised eyebrows. Although I am surprised they seated you back here. In my country, the diplomatic liaison to the royal family would be seated with the honored guests. The silence was deafening. Richard's uncle, the board member, had gone pale. As someone who did international business, he clearly recognized both the princess and the implications of what she'd just said. Marcus appeared, suddenly professional. Your Royal Highness, we weren't informed. That is, we have a table prepared. I'll sit with Clare, Princess Amara said firmly, settling into the empty chair at table 17. Although perhaps you could bring the champagne from that main table? It looks significantly better than what's been served back here. One of the distant cousins at my table looked like she might faint. Vanessa had stood, her face flushed. The wedding coordinator was frantically whispering to Mom, who was whispering to Dad, who was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. Claire. Vanessa's voice shook slightly as she approached our table, Richard trailing behind her. You didn't mention you knew, that you were friends with. You didn't ask about my life, I said simply. You assumed because I'm single and work for the government that I wasn't important enough for a good table. We should have been informed of your guest, Margaret Wellington interjected, having rushed over with the kind of speed that suggested panic. If we'd known royalty was attending. I'm not a guest, Princess Amara said coolly. I'm Claire's friend. And I came specifically because she told me this was a small family affair. I wanted to celebrate with her. She paused meaningfully. I'm so glad I could witness how her family treats her. Richard's face had gone red. As a corporate lawyer who'd just made partner, he understood exactly how badly this could go. Ms. Adeyemi, Claire, perhaps we should rearrange the seating. We're quite comfortable here, I said, sipping the considerably better champagne that had materialized at our table. The view of the kitchen is quite charming. Jennifer had approached, her earlier smugness replaced by confusion. Claire, I don't understand. You never said you worked with. We all thought you were just some low-level administrator. You thought wrong, Princess Amara said with devastating politeness. Claire coordinates diplomatic relations for visiting dignitaries. She's advised on international treaties. She holds security clearances most government officials will never achieve. She's brilliant at her job and I quite literally trust her with matters of national importance. She turned to Vanessa, smiling sharply. Your sister helped stop a diplomatic problem that could have hurt trade between our countries. But I guess that's less exciting than flower arrangements, right? Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. The guest stared. Phones came out. The wedding was turning into a public disaster. Mom rushed over, pleading. Claire, sweetheart, this is a misunderstanding. No, Mom. You sat me by the kitchen because you're embarrassed by me. Because I don't fit your idea of success. Kept my tone calm. You've always dismissed my job because you can't brag about it. Because senior diplomatic liaison doesn't sound fancy enough. Dad joined us, looking lost. We didn't know. You didn't ask, I said. I looked at Vanessa. I would have told you. But you made it clear I wasn't important. Just an obligation. Princess Amara stood up. I think Claire and I will take our champagne on the terrace. The company here is disappointing. As we walked out, chaos broke behind us. Mom whispering about what people would think. The planner trying to fix things. Guests gossiping. On the terrace, the princess smiled. Too much. Perfect, I said, finally smiling. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the show, she teased. Then, more softly, I'm sorry your family treated you that way. She raised her glass. To found family, the ones who truly see us. To found family, I said back. My phone buzzed. Vanessa's wedding hashtag was trending, for all the wrong reasons. Photos of Princess Amara at my table. Videos of the speech and her entrance. Captions like, when you disrespect the wrong guest at a wedding. Inside, I saw Vanessa and her husband talking to worried relatives. Mom and Dad looked small and lost. I turned off my phone. They'll try to make up now, Princess Amara said. They'll want your connections. I know, I said, watching the city lights. But that's not how it works. You can't treat people like they're nothing, then suddenly care when you realize their value. Boundaries, she said, nodding. Very diplomatic. The doors opened. Vanessa stood there, crying, makeup ruined. Claire, I'm so sorry, she said. I've been awful. I just wanted to impress Richard's family. I was jealous of you, your confidence, your independence. And I thought your job didn't matter because I couldn't brag about it. It does matter, I said quietly. And so do I. Because I'm your sister. That should have been enough. Vanessa nodded. You're right. I know an apology isn't enough, but I'm truly sorry. I looked at her, my perfect sister who'd just learned a hard lesson. I accept your apology, I said. But here's the truth. I won't come to family dinners where I'm treated like a disappointment. Either you value me or we keep distance. That's my boundary. I understand, she whispered. And I'll do better. Princess Amara squeezed my hand. I should go. But remember, you have family who loves you as you are. They just might not share your DNA. After she left, the wedding limped on. But the damage was done. The gossip would spread. The Wellington's perfect image was cracked. My phone buzzed again. A message from Ambassador Chin. The foreign minister requested you for the European summit. Promotion papers are being prepared. Congratulations, Deputy Director Adeyemi. I smiled, looking out over the city. They'd seated me by the kitchen because they couldn't see my worth. But the world had better tables. And I'd already found my seat.